Wrap up a long holiday weekend. While many are still enjoying the gentle breeze of early autumn, the global climate picture is turning remarkably active, especially across two vast ocean basins, the Atlantic and the Pacific. In the eastern Pacific, Hurricane Kiko has officially formed and is currently producing strong winds, while over the eastern Atlantic, a new tropical disturbance is drawing major attention from the meteorological community. This system is now being considered a prime candidate to become Tropical Storm Gabrielle, the next named storm of the 2025 hurricane season. Earlier this morning, experts at the U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, raised the system's development probability to 60% over the next 7 days. In other words, the likelihood of it becoming a tropical depression or tropical storm is steadily increasing. Satellite imagery shows a broad area of thunderstorms breaking off the West African coast, sliding south of the Cabo Verde Islands, and beginning to exhibit subtle cyclonic rotation, early signs of a potential storm. Here, the first key factor to note is sea surface temperature. In early September, the tropical Atlantic typically warms to over 28 degrees Celsius, with some areas reaching 29 to 30 degrees Celsius. Well above the 26.5 degrees Celsius threshold considered favorable for storm development. In effect, the disturbance is being fueled generously by the ocean. In addition, mid to lower atmospheric moisture is running high, allowing convective clouds to grow more vigorously. Still, not every factor is supportive. To the north of this disturbance lies a layer of Saharan dust, dry air laced with fine particles blown off the Sahara Desert into the Atlantic. Normally, this dusty air can suppress storm growth by drying the atmosphere and making it harder for thunderstorms to build. In this case, however, the dust is concentrated farther north, while the disturbance sits in a relatively clear slot. In other words, the system has found a small atmospheric window for growth. On weather maps, some viewers might confuse the orange-shaded region in NHC's outlook with a predicted storm track. In reality, that orange shading only marks the general area where development is likely over the next few days. It is a wide zone, not a cone of uncertainty, for storm movement. Another point worth noting is speed and direction. Currently, the disturbance is sliding west-northwest at around 15 miles per hour, 20–25 kilometers per hour. If this continues, it will reach warmer waters and reduced Saharan dust influence within the next 3 to 4 days. At which point chances of tropical depression formation will rise sharply. On a broader scale, the Bermuda-Azores High, often called the Bermuda High, is the dominant steering force for Atlantic storms. This vast subtropical high-pressure system acts like an invisible shield across much of the Atlantic. In late summer and fall, it typically drives tropical cyclones westward toward the Caribbean and North America. In the present case, the Bermuda High remains relatively stable across the central Atlantic. That means the disturbance is likely to keep moving west toward the Lesser Antilles. But storm intensity will be the key to the final track. If the system stays weak and fast-moving, it will be steered farther south, passing beneath the high and possibly striking Caribbean islands. If it intensifies quickly, however, its low-pressure core can erode the high's edge, opening a pathway northward into the open Atlantic, sparing land areas. Comparing forecast models highlights the differences. The American GFS favors a westward, lower latitude track toward the Lesser Antilles. Europe's ECMWF suggests a stronger system that turns north earlier. Germany's ICON model takes a middle ground, showing westward movement with a slight northward bend if the storm strengthens. Because of these divergences, meteorologists are not yet able to pin down a track, but one consensus stands. The system is highly likely to become Tropical Storm Gabrielle within the next few days, making it the focal point of early September. For small Caribbean nations such as Antigua, Barbuda, Dominica, and St. Lucia, close monitoring is essential, while a northward deflection could spare them. Even a weaker, more southerly track could bring heavy rain and strong winds. In the worst-case scenario, Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic could also face threats. Right now, the system's convective clusters remain loosely organized with no defined eye. But with warm waters and a relatively dust-free environment ahead, development is nearly certain. The only questions are timing and track. Now, let's expand further. The GFS model, widely watched in the US, offers a pragmatic scenario: moderate strengthening, faster movement, and a lower path, putting the Lesser Antilles at risk in 6 to 7 days. The ECMWF paints a different picture: rapid intensification, an early curve northward, and avoidance of the Caribbean. While this would reduce land impact, it could complicate transatlantic shipping routes. Icon splits the difference: westward travel with potential for a slight northward bend if tropical storm strength is reached early. Such differences are common at this early stage, with storm structures still vague. Even small changes in speed or intensity can produce tracks that diverge by hundreds of kilometers after several days. For the Caribbean and North America, the implications hinge on which path prevails. A weaker, southerly system could bring heavy rain, flooding, and landslides to Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, regions highly vulnerable due to mountainous terrain. Conversely, a stronger system curving north would reduce direct Caribbean impacts but raise new questions. Will Gabrielle recurve safely into the North Atlantic? Or could shifting pressure systems later steer it closer to the U.S. East Coast? At this stage, both U.S. and European meteorologists are closely watching, with ocean waters exceeding 29 degrees Celsius and abundant moisture ahead. Early strengthening would favor the strong and north scenario. The Saharan dust also remains a wild card. In the next 2 to 3 days, if the dust spreads southward, it could choke convection and slow development. If it thins, thunderstorms could erupt more freely, accelerating storm growth. In that sense, the dust layer is like a hidden joker card in this weather story. Meanwhile, the eastern Pacific is equally active. Hurricane Kiko has officially formed and already reached strong tropical storm status. While not currently threatening land, Kiko is a reminder that the Pacific Basin is also entering a lively phase. Typically, when the Atlantic is active, the Pacific quiets down, and vice versa. Yet this week, both are buzzing with energy, creating a rare parallel of activity across two major basins. For U.S. residents, the question remains: could Gabrielle reach the mainland? It is too early to know. Historically, most Cape Verde-type storms, those born off West Africa, either curve into the North Atlantic or impact the Caribbean. Only a small fraction maintain strength long enough to reach the Gulf of Mexico or U.S. East Coast. Still, with today's climate context, including warmer than average waters, neutral ENSO conditions, and the influence of Kelvin waves, many experts believe the 2025 season may hold more surprises. Gabrielle, if it forms, could merely be the opening act for September's peak activity. To conclude, there is no immediate threat to land at this moment. Still, residents of the Lesser Antilles, Puerto Rico, Cuba, and even the southeastern U.S. coastline should stay alert and follow updates closely. Early preparation is always better than late response, especially at the height of hurricane season. Meanwhile, Kiko's activity in the Pacific also deserves monitoring, as large Pacific storms can sometimes influence global atmospheric patterns in ways that subtly affect Atlantic storm tracks. Thank you for watching today's International Weather News Forecast. We will continue to provide timely updates on the developing tropical system off Africa and on Hurricane Kiko in the Pacific. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to stay ahead of the latest reports. See you again in our next broadcast.